Have you ever wondered how men chose their wives in the distant past? Long before wedding rings, ceremonial vows, and modern dating apps?
I can guess, but I can tell you right now, you aren't going to say in this video the mythology of marriage and the dangerous wife. Right. In this video, which is almost 40 minutes long, this guy doesn't say anything other than one, these myths exist, and two, they're very old. He says nothing. And you know why? Because the dangerous wife, any discussion about this is going to paint women in a bad light. And this guy knows he's not going to do that. Okay. Now, I'm also going to talk about him, but also, where are we here? The aristocrat talks about fairies. And the fairy stories he tells sheds a lot of light on the gender dynamics. And it doesn't look good. Okay. Now, the first things first, notice Krakenford. That's what this guy's name, Krakenford. The myth of the dangerous wife. Look at his thumbnail. Sexy vampire girl. Look at the title, The Myth of the Dangerous Wife. That's to get men's eyes on this, only for him to renege on saying anything. Matter of fact, this loser, where is he? Please be respectful. I will be deleting sexist comments. In other words, if you guys don't know your place, I will ban you. If some woman in this comment section complains to me, I will erase your comment. Oh, she's above you. That's what you're saying, Krakenford. Okay? Now we'll get into a couple of things. So as you see, it's almost 20 minutes in before the guy actually even tries to talk about this subject matter. And all he does is list the myth. He doesn't say anything about them.
F7, the man takes or attempts to take as his wife a being linked to the underwater world, so a fish, a crab, a snake, an aquatic animal. Looks like it was the first motif form of this myth type into the Americas.
The first of this myth type, man attempts to take a wife being linked to the underwater world. And that's exactly what the aristocrat story is about. Exact same thing, right? So let's hear the rest of these.
Next is motif F9, which is quite common and was certainly a motif told during the second dispersal into the Americas, and is known as, for various reasons, sexual contact with a woman is fatal for a man. Then we see motif F9A, again widely dispersed, but again particularly in the second dispersal into the Americas, and this has the strange description of there are teeth or sharp stones in the vagina or the...
This is very obvious. Look, sex with a woman is dangerous to a man, fatal to a man, and her vagina has teeth. In other words, the woman is dangerous to the man. The gender relationships are dangerous to the man. That's what it says, Krakenford, which you aren't willing to say. It's obvious. Men from the beginning of time realized there was strife when it dealt with women. Women were dangerous to their very lives.
The vagina is a toothed mouth. Next is motif F10. The woman has another toothed mouth, usually in the vagina, or biting animals are...
And that's pretty well all of them. So that's all he does. He lists this. He doesn't discuss why these men thought what they did, right? Now, I just want to get to this point here, 2537. He makes an excuse to even avoid talking. 2537. Let's get up here. Let's get up here.
This dentate second mouth motif missed the target. We cannot speak to the authors of these myths from thousands of years ago. And so in the absence of this, it is much easier, especially given the symbolism, for early psychiatrists to invent a psyche on paper for them. And from this, we see that psychoanalytical analysis of mythological stories can run the risk of being reduced to a wild logorrhea of verbose soliloquy.
What is that gibberish I just heard? Yeah, you can't talk to these ancient guys. So what? And this is what I'm going to point out. The aristocrat talks about the ancient druids. The ancient druids aren't around, and the only writings we have were from the Romans, who were their conquerors. So we have to take their writings with a grain of salt. Yet people try to talk about the druids. How many people talk about Jesus? Right? And no one's around to talk about that anymore either, right? So this Kraken Ford is a cop-out by you. They say these guys aren't around to talk to, right? It's a cop-out. And he doesn't even discuss what these guys, these psychologists, came up with. He doesn't discuss this in his videos, guys. Why not? He's basically saying it shines a negative light on the opposite sex, and I don't want to say they're full of shit, even though they're actually saying something. I won't even discuss what it is they say, but I'll definitely remove any comments from a guy who tries to guess it. Now, we're going to end off with the story with the aristocrat about fairies. Listen closely to these guys of this fairy story and tell me, how is it any different from modern dating? Right? Now listen to this.
On Eminid Du, or Black Mountain, overlooking the lake Llyn y Fan Fach, which translates as Little Lake by the Peak, and her grown son was tasked with watching these herds. One day, he saw the most beautiful lady he had ever seen out on the water.
There's that water myth, right? She's out of the water.
He rushed down to the lake shore, hoping to meet her, and he tried to offer to share his bread with her.
So, lonely guy, he's out there by himself. He sees the most gorgeous woman. He doesn't know anything about her. He doesn't know her character. She's just a beautiful woman. He wants to be with her. How's that different from real life and where we are at now, right? And what does he do? He offers her something. He can't just come up here and say, you're beautiful and I want to be with you. He's got to offer her something.
She glided across the lake to him, but took one look at the bread and said, "Hard baked is thy bread, 'tis not so easy to catch me," and she disappeared under the lake.
I reject what you have. You're too low status. Your bribe is not worthy of me. So right away, she's telling this guy, I'm not in love with you. I don't give a shit about you. You're offering me a bribe and it's not good enough. So this guy knows he wants this woman in his life who has no feelings for him. How is that different from now?
He returned home, and he asked his mother what he should do to win her over. She said, because the woman rejected the hard-baked bread, that he should take the unbaked dough to her instead. Next day, he waited around the lake for a long time.
Oh, by the way, this woman comes from the lake. In other words, she's divine. To be female is to be divine to a man.
And eventually she reappeared, and he offered her the dough. This time she said, "Unbaked is thy bread, I will not have thee," and she disappeared again. The following day he tried a third time, this time taking partly baked bread, and when she appeared, she accepted it. He, being madly in love with her beauty, asked her to marry him. She disappeared under the lake without answering. He stayed, heartbroken, but unwilling to leave the lake.
There you go. Hey, very typical, right? See a beautiful woman. You're in love with her beauty, not with her. With her beauty. That's what you want. You want a beautiful woman on your arm. And you offer her a bribe. and she takes it, and then she ghosts you. This woman accepted his bride, but then ghosted him. How is this different from modern dating, guys?
A man then rose from the lake, flanked by 2 identical women who looked just like the mysterious woman that the young man had met, and followed by large herds of cows, sheep, and goats. The man said that he was the woman's father, and that he would consent to the young man marrying his daughter on one condition, that he could identify which of his 2 daughters he had met.
See what I mean? There's the father, mate Garter. Hey, Dad, why don't you just ask your daughter if she wants to be with this dude? Why are you trying to cock block him? Hey, guys, how is this different from real life and modern times?
The young man looked over the 2 for a long time, looking for any difference that might give it away. He had nearly given up until one of the women moved her foot slightly, and he spotted a difference in how she had tied her sandals, which he recognised from seeing her before, and so he chose her. Her father said that he had chosen correctly, and as a dowry he would give her the herds of several hundred cows, sheep, goats, and horses. However, if the young man were to strike his wife 3 times...
Listen to this. This is her... What does my pal Eric Schiedler say all the time? Women get married knowing they're going to get divorced. This is her way out.
Without cause, she and all the livestock would return to the lake. So the 2 married and lived on a farm outside the village, and she bore him 3 sons. The 2 lived happily for many years.
You can see what's coming. I'm going to break the story down. I'm not going to go too far. It's just say he's going to touch her lightly over something innocuous, and she's going to consider that a strike. I'll put this in the description box. It's even timestamped, guys, right here. You can just check it out. And then what? She leaves him brokenhearted. He's got to live his life alone, right? See, look at this. When he returned with them, he playfully slapped her shoulder with one of his gloves, urging her to get ready, and she reminded them that he was not to strike her without cause, and this was the first strike. So this woman does not love him. He offered her a bribe. Her father wanted to cockblock him, made him jump through hoops, and now she's setting it up so she's going to leave him brokenhearted. She does not love this man. She's toying with him. And she does. She ends. I'm going to cut to the chase. Guys, how is this not like real life and modern dating? Right? Now, that's why I'm getting back to cracking forward here, dude. Like, these myths have not only been around, they're very easy to see what's being said here. They're very easy to describe and what they mean. So the fact that you are trying to renege on this and saying, wow, I don't know what's going on here. You know, the psychologists are giving their ideas. That is pathetic. You are pathetic. And that's why academia is just pathetic. Just filled with men like you who know your place, who can never tell the truth. So you're useless as a historian. You're useless. You guys will bring up and talk about any topic except whenever gender dynamics come along. And then you certainly know your place. And so when I end off saying cracking forward, I'm better than you. This is what you should take away from this video. I am better than you. Thank you.